What is happening, everybody? So, I'm hitting about the halfway mark with this exhaust swap, and I figured I would take time to show you guys the tools that you will need to tackle this if you're going to do this on your own. So, first things you're going to need, safety glasses. Don't forget these things. Last thing you want to do is be working on your car, have stuff fall in your face, get in your eye, it'll ruin your night. So, always just keep these handy and use them. Don't just have them sitting in your toolbox. Main things you're going to want to have though is you want to make sure you've got a safe place to work on your car, and you want to make sure you've got a safe set of ramps. I'm pretty sure you could do this on jack stands, but I'm a big fan of using the ramps mainly because they're a little bit safer and a whole lot more convenient. So at any rate, those are the couple of things you'd want to make sure just for safety's sake that you've got on hand. So let's get into the different tools. First thing you're going to need, 16mm socket. Now I'm using these hollow Craftsman tools, and the ratchets themselves are hollow as well. And the reason why I like these is because they eliminate the need to have a deep socket. Now you can get this done with deep sockets, but I don't know, this set of tools has come in real handy. So at any rate, good job for these. But at any rate, you'll need a 16mm socket to get the stud off of, or rather get the nut off of the stud. Now to remove the stud, you're going to need to get an E8 socket. It's basically the star socket. This is the small one, and it's going to go into, you can see that, stud's going to go into that. And before you get rolling with that, what you may end up having to do is hit it with some penetrating lubricant. This is, you know, just some PB Blast or whatever it is. But any penetrating lubricant will work just fine. WD-40 can work, but it doesn't really work as well as that stuff. If those studs have rust welded themselves to your flange, it's going to make for a long night because you will absolutely strip those little star heads right off of the stud. So lube everything up. Even if you have to let it sit overnight, it's not a big deal. Gives you a chance to plan everything out, pull all the tools out you're going to need and lay them out. So that's what you're going to need to get that knocked out. It's going to be a 15mm for the clamps on that X pipe. So those are the tools just in general that you're going to need. Now I'm using a 1/4" stubby socket for the studs. Main reason why is because I didn't want to use something that was just going to apply a ton of torque to it. Again, just want to use nice gradual pressure getting those things off so you don't accidentally strip the heads off of those things. And if you notice underneath, they're not in all that great a shape to begin with from the factory. I think whoever was putting mine on was having a really rough day and was taking it out on my car. So yeah, make sure you don't over torque them when you're loosening them, and also when you're taking them off, they are going to get loose. And also keep in mind that they are shouldered, so they will have a positive stop going into that flange. But it also means that they're going to, when they come out, they're going to kind of sit down on that flange. They're not going to come right out. Just know that when you're removing these, that they're not just going to fall out. Just loosen them up until you can wiggle that pipe off of the flange on the header. That's when you know you've got them off. If you keep twisting it, you run the risk of galling the flange. So keep that in mind. Now, moving over to the X pipe, what you're going to want to do is to dress that thing up. What I did is I took this 2-inch or 2.5-inch wire brush, and I'll include a link to this. I actually took a video of me dressing that thing up and deburring those pipes, getting them ready for the off-road pipes to go in. Main reason for that is just to clean everything up, because any type of carbon or soot rather that may be accumulated on that pipe, when you go to try to put the new pipes in there, even after you deburr them, that just little bit of carbon in there can even cause it to stick. So what I did is I just cleaned them up, used some, you can use WD-40, I use rim oil, just to lube everything up, clean everything out. You can use scotch Brite too. I just happen to have the drill, and it's an excuse to use a power tool, right? Get in there and clean that thing up really nice. And really last but not least, another pair of tools you're going to need. Get yourself an O2 socket if you're going to be doing this. These can be a little bit pricey, but I'm going to make an argument that they're well worth their price. When you're taking the O2s off, if the car's got a lot of miles on it and it's got the original O2s, there's a chance that the O2s could have rust welded themselves to that catalytic converter. Or if you have a new car like mine, my O2s were on there really, really tight. So what you want to do is you don't want to just use a spanner. I mean, you could probably get it loose, but you do run the risk of tearing those O2s up in the process. And because of how tight they were, you don't want to be yanking on those things. You want nice, steady pressure to break that thing loose. So I broke out the breaker bar with a 1/2 inch to a 3/8 adapter, had the pipe in my lap, wrapped my leg around one side and just slowly torqued down just until the thing loosened up. Come right out and you're good to go. Now, in the process of removing those cat pipes, you're going to want to remove those cat pipes with the O2s attached. It's my preferred way to go about it, mainly because there's not a lot of room to work underneath the car. And it makes just for a cleaner disassembly and assembly. The O2 plugs themselves, main thing to remember with those is just when you hear that click, the click of the connector, don't pull it apart on the wires. Grip that connector with your hands and just kind of slowly work the thing around. You don't want to try to jerk anything or wrestle with it. Again, it's just slow, steady pressure with a little bit of finagling, and next thing you know, the thing just pops right off. It's a weather tight seal. It's not supposed to be able to come on and off super easy, so don't expect them to. Just understand that going into it, thing will pop right off. You'll be well on your way. So I hope that helps you guys out. I do have some dyno time slated for this coming Monday. So about a week from today, this thing will be on the rollers. We're gonna mess with some tuning on the car, see what kind of power we can get out of it, just the way it sits with the off-road pipes versus the catalytic converters. And then we may play around with the tune just a little bit since we're gonna have it on the dyno. That's a wrap on this one, just a little bit of an update. Hope that helps you guys out. I will post a link in the description below on me cleaning the X-pipe out and deburring that thing a little bit. And look, it's probably the worst video I've ever made because I'm trying to do it under the car on my side. It's like I pretzeled myself trying to get that thing done. But at any rate, it'll give you an idea for what the befores and what the after looks like on that. So at any rate, hope you guys are having a good one. Post up your comments. Let me know what you think. Adios.